All right, guys, this week we are talking about cellular respiration. So last week was photosynthesis, which is the process of plants um, producing sugar, right? Respiration is kind of the opposite side of that. Humans can't photosynthesize. We have to take in sugars, and then as a waste product, we release CO2. Obviously, plants take in CO2. And we're going to kind of go through the entire process and how the two relate. So let's get into it. So cellular respiration is the process of energy conversion that releases energy from your food in the presence of oxygen. So your chemical summary is going to be oxygen plus glucose yields carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Now, let's see here. What would this equation look like if it was expressed in symbols? If you think about the photosynthesis equation, remember everything was 6 of each except for glucose. There was only 1. And respiration is exactly the opposite of photosynthesis. So if you remember, photosynthesis was carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sun energy yields oxygen and glucose. Remember, it was 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water, 6 oxygen, and only 1 glucose. So the exact opposite would be 6 oxygen plus 1 glucose would yield 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water, and energy. So what that looks like is this. All right, so hopefully you can see photosynthesis and respiration are opposites when we look at the overall chemical equation. So essentially, all you would really have to do is reverse the direction of this arrow and kind of flip everything, and you would have the equation for photosynthesis. The only difference is this energy here. So in photosynthesis, the energy is sunlight, and it is typically written above the arrow. This is what is put out. So we exhale CO2, we exhale a small amount of water, and the other product is energy. We don't put out light energy, right? Remember, this was light energy. We don't glow. So this energy is in the form of ATP. So there are 3 main stages of cellular respiration. We have glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and electron transport. We're going to go into these a little bit deeper later. So essentially, we're breaking down glucose. That's the whole point, right? So glucose starts as a 6-carbon molecule. It is then broken down into 2 3-carbon molecules in a process called glycolysis. Lysis means to break. Glyco is the prefix for glucose, so this is literally breaking glucose, okay? Those 2 3-carbon molecules can then go into the Krebs cycle. This is where we have CO2 produced, and we have a small amount of energy. And that leads us to the electron transport chain. This is where oxygen is used and hydrogen, or H2O, is produced. And then here is the mass of our energy. We're going to go into the numbers and, like I said, everything a little more in depth later on. So stage 1, glycolysis. So glucose enters the chemical pathway known as glycolysis. A small amount of energy is captured and used to produce ATP. In the second stage, a little more energy is converted. And the final stage requires reactants from the other 2 stages. And that is where the mass of energy is produced. All right, so here is showing what I was explaining, that they are considered opposite reactions. I don't know why this is thank you for your feedback, but they are opposite reactions, right? So we have glucose and oxygen here. These are coming out, produced by the plant. So oxygen, obviously, we breathe. Glucose is what provides us energy from our food. Here's an example of a rabbit. It is eating this plant, and it's gaining these. And what it's putting out, or what it's gaining, is ATP, right? And then there's also some energy released as heat. byproducts that are released from the rabbit are CO2 and water, which are what the plant need. So this is one big cycle. All right, so that leads us to 10.2. We're going to go ahead and stop there. There will be a question for you to answer in the assignment for this video. So go ahead and answer that and then come back and watch 10.2.